we want to spend some time looking at the different types of variables or data, and they'll go together. So if you have data of a certain type, then the variable that represents that data will be the same type. So there are two types of variables here, two main categories here, which are qualitative variables, and those are just attributes or categories. So they categorize the elements of the population, and they are not naturally numerical. So categories are qualitative. And then quantitative variables are numerical. And those are variables that actually quantify an element of the population. They're naturally numerical variables. So now inside of qualitative variables, there are two subcategories. There are nominal variables, which are strictly just categories. So these would just be names of the different groups or categories inside the population. Arithmetic operations are not meaningful, and order can't be assigned. Okay, so there's no ordering with nominal variables. And then the next type of qualitative variable is an ordinal variable. So this incorporates the idea of ordered position or ranking into the categories. So ranked categories are ordinal data. And then in quantitative variables, you can have either discrete, and quantitative variables are going to be discrete if they are countable. So you've got a first value, a second value, a third value. Discrete variables are going to be isolated points on the number line, and there's going to be a gap between any of the two values. So for example, between 1 and 2, there are lots of numbers. They're not whole numbers, so if our variable only takes on whole number values, then they're going to be discrete. And then continuous values, these are usually data values that are measured, things like time and weight and height. And they're quantitative variables that can't be counted. They're called uncountable. So you can't have a first value and then the next one, next bigger value, and then next bigger. They're usually looking at every value in a range or every value between any two values. So for example, if you talk about elapsed time between 0 seconds and 5 seconds, so the elapsed time could be any number between 0 and 5, 1.246 seconds. And time is infinitely divisible, as is length and weight and quantities that are continuous. So let's look at some examples here. So we want to identify the variable as quantitative, so that's numerical, and then discrete or continuous, or qualitative, and then subcategorize as nominal, ordinal. So first quantitative, qualitative, and then subdivide. So the city that you live in. Okay, well, we group everyone by cities. Those are just categories, so they're not numbers, so this is going to be qualitative. And then cities can't really be ordered. You don't have one city. You don't say this city is less than the next city. So cities are just categories. Now, granted, you can categorize cities by size, okay, but we haven't made any mention of that here. So these are strictly just categories. This is going to be qualitative and then nominal. And then the amount of gas that it takes to fill your car's tank. So you're going to say, oh, I'm going to fill the tank. How much gas is that going to be? Well, anywhere from, say 0 to 20 gallons. So it's definitely numerical. So that's going to be quantitative. And then inside of quantitative, we want to know, is it going to be discrete or continuous? Is it just separate values with gaps in between them? Do you put in 1 gallon or 2 gallons or 3? Well, no, it could be anything in between here. So it's a whole range of values between 0 and 20. So that's actually going to be continuous. And it's measured here. It's measured in gallons. So this is going to be quantitative, continuous. the amount you spend to fill your car's gas tank. So that's money. The money is naturally numerical. So this is going to be quantitative. And now I want to think, is it going to be discrete or continuous? Is it separate values, or does it take on any range in a value? Any range in an interval, any range between two values. Well, you might at first thought say, well, money, you can have anything between, $0 and $50. But money is not infinitely divisible in practice. You're going to pay rounded to the nearest penny. And when interest is credited, it's to the nearest penny. So for practical purposes, this is going to be discrete. Because when you fill your gas tank up, you're going to put in $50. Or you're going to put in $50 and 1 penny, or 50.02 or 50.03. You're not going to subdivide your pennies in practice. So we'll call that one discrete. The number of students late for chapel service. Well, you can't have half a student. These are definitely numerical, so it's quantitative. Okay, but you can't have half a student. These are going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Those are isolated values. That's going to be discrete. And then the last one, a Likert scale in a survey, very satisfied, satisfied, etc. Neutral, unsatisfied, very unsatisfied. Well, those are categories there. They're not numerical, so they're going to be qualitative. But they do have a natural order to them, right? Very satisfied would be better than satisfied, which is better than neutral. So this is going to be qualitative ordinal. They have a natural ordering. I just abbreviate ordinal there. So first ask yourself, is it qualitative or quantitative? And then if it's qualitative, is it just categories or does it also have order? If it's quantitative, is it just isolated values? If so, it's discrete. Or does it take on every value in a range? If so, it's continuous.